and I'm your host, Anna Elton, licensed marriage and family therapist. And today we have a special guest, Jennifer Powell. We're going to talk about happily ever after. What's the next chapter after that happily ever after? Welcome, Jen. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Well, I know Jennifer for a couple of years now, and she is absolutely amazing. So she's a mom, she's married to her high school sweetheart, she's the executive business owner, she's the advocate for youth, pageant queen, I don't name it all. But before we go in, before you introduce yourself, let's play a little game.
Okay.
I like to do icebreakers. Okay, so I prepared some stuff for you. Actually, let's start with this one. Okay, so what is the most surprising thing that gives you peace? Like, what do you like to do? Yeah.
Well, I'm a type A personality, so I would say that I really like to have fun, but organization, so scheduling, color coding, planning events, all the things that make me feel really organized is where I really find joy.
Awesome. I know, I guess a couple of years ago, I went to the conference and then it ended a little bit earlier. And then, participants are like, hey, so it's Friday, like, any plans for tonight? What are you going to do for self-care? And I was like, I got to fold laundry. They're like, what's wrong with you? I was like, well, I have kids and work, and I guess I like it. I put in a show and I fold laundry. It like gives me the peace and
relaxation.
Awesome. Yeah, we all have our like little things.
Absolutely.
That feel good. So how about this? So how about guilty pleasures? Are there any guilty pleasures for you?
I would say that I probably have two. I would say most days I'm like the girl next door, the cheerleader, the mom in the yoga pants. But when it comes time to splurge and do glam with the hair and the makeup and the gown, I definitely don't feel guilty. I absolutely love spoiling myself and in those moments and empowering myself that I deserve that too. And then I would say my husband and I love to eat. So we like fine dining, sitting for the long courses, enjoying the wine in between, really savoring food. My dad was a master chef, so I grew up around really amazing food. And so we don't mind spending money on food. That might be weird for some people, but we love it.
So what's your favorite? So
I would say Mediterranean cuisine. Like I like the lighter, the fish and the pilafs and all of the vegetables that are done in like a lighter oil so that you can have 5 courses and not be bursting at the seams. You would think since I live in Florida that I would be like that Southern girl, but I mean, shrimp and grits not every day is not something you can eat 5 courses of in one time. So definitely Mediterranean food.
Absolutely. What is something that you absolutely would not touch?
For food?
Yeah.
I'm not a big red meat person. I know. I love seafood. I love any type of vegetable from the earth, but I'm not a big red meat person. Every now and then I'll have a good filet, but no, I'm not a cow person.
Okay. So you mentioned something interesting. So you mentioned pageants.
Yeah.
So tell us about your pageantry experience. Why pageant? What did
I spent a lot of my life not feeling comfortable in my skin. I say that I'm like a late bloomer. I married my high school sweetheart, but I was always overweight. I was kind of the girl in the back of the room that really didn't say anything. And in my 30s, I decided to get well and like to deal with trauma from my past and stop eating my feelings and really start taking care of myself. And this is after having children. And my husband was like, do it for you, babe. I love you just the way you are, but do it for you. And I did that. And so someone challenged me to start sharing my story. And I was 35 years old. And they're like, you should share this on a bigger platform. Once I started it on social media and inspiring other women to do the same. And they said, you should do a pageant. And I was like, this is a joke, right? Do they even have pageants for married women? Apparently they did. And so I did my first pageant at 35 and it was so much fun. I had no clue what was going on. I didn't buy the right shoes or the right dress, but it was really a neat experience doing something that was like the unknown. Had no clue. Everyone was so much fun and so nice, teaching me how to walk on the day of. My husband was like pinning the dress. And I just really, really enjoyed it. And so that kind of was led into a couple of other pageants after that. And I just think it's a growing experience as a married woman, taking time out for yourself to like really do something that's kind of uncomfortable and really growing as a woman on the other side of that.
So stepping outside of the comfort zone. So what really pushed you? Was it your husband? Was it your family, friends, yourself to say like, hey, I think I want to do it. I'm doing it for myself. I'm doing it for my self-esteem,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm doing it for my self-care.
Yeah, I think it was probably a combination of everything. I think I needed at that time in my life someone to say it's okay to want to take care of you. And my husband was like, go, do what you need to do, whatever that looks like. And then through time, running to the stop sign, taking time to, sit outside and be by myself, all those little things, you started finding self love along the way. But I think as mom and as women, we feel like we're always giving and giving and giving, and that selfless, it starts to take a toll on you when you're not taking care of yourself. But I think it's what we are used to, and then that other side of it makes us feel really guilty. So at first I would say it was definitely the support of my husband, and then down that it was like, oh, I see a difference in me. The weight shedding off and all of that was just like icing on the cake. But I was starting to become a woman with a voice and a woman with a purpose and a woman that had a story to tell other women that they can find that too. And so I think it slowly has evolved. It started as a weight loss journey, became a woman with a voice to inspire other women, which now has led into service and philanthropy and being a mentor for our youth. So I think over the last decade, it's just evolved into finding more self love and more to self discovery. And I think that's what we need to do as women.
I love that. So if you think of a younger self, is there any advice you would give yourself?
I think travel down the paths that really seem scary, because every path that I have walked down today that I was like, there's no way. There's no way that I could do that. There's no way that I decided, this is the crazy thing. I decided I want to do powerlifting. I was overweight most of my life, and I got a trainer and I started doing marathons and I started lifting, and I was like, I'm going to do this. I would have never done that before. But if someone didn't say, hey, like I see potential in you and you could do this, I would have never done it. So I say walk down the things that seem scary, because on the other side of that discomfort and that fear is really where the growth of becoming really happens. And then you become the girl on the stage, just like you, where you're inspiring others to like speak and find your voice. But if you don't step into that arena, you'll never know. So I think fear holds most people back. But I would tell my younger self, walk down those roads, because that's where you're going to really become the woman that you're meant to be.
I love that. So which one was the most challenging? Was it pageantry, powerlifting, or anything else?
I think they were different chapters. I think they all require a lot of discipline. I think that as a mom, your day starts before anyone rises and your day ends when everyone's asleep. So now you're trying to carve out time to find all of these things that you're going to add in. So I think that in different parts of my life, it was different parts of growth. For training, I had to push my body past limits that I didn't know that I could do. And I had to train harder 7 days a week and eat a massive amount of food to stay fueled. With pageantry, it was finding that platform and that voice that you're going to inspire other people to do great things and to make a difference in the world. And so that challenged me mentally in a different capacity. But I would say that they're equally as hard. Anything that you go after that's going to stretch you, that's why you don't see everybody doing marathons. You don't see everybody doing Ironmans. You don't see everyone doing pageantry, because it is uncomfortable. It is going to require a lot of extra time. But I think that they both, I would say, equally as difficult, for sure.
And I hear this all the time, mom's guilt, right? So
Oh.
as moms, we always feel guilty. So how do you feel like you overcame that guilt?
Hmm. I don't know that we ever completely overcome it. I think that I realized that I was teaching my children to love themselves just like I love me. And so that there's still days that I'm like, was I the best mom that I could be today? Was I the best wife I could? I don't think there's enough hours in the day for us to be amazing at everything. But I think the one goal that I wanted my kids to be, I wanted them to be educated, but I also wanted them to be great humans. And so they can see me loving me and they can see me loving others. That's really my goal as a mom, is to teach them self-love so that they can love other people. Because I really don't believe that we can pour from an empty cup, and that we can be great if we're not great and we love ourselves. So that guilt, when your kids look over at you and be like, I'm inspired by my mom and I want to be like my mom, then you know that, yeah, we're not perfect in every single way. And I maybe I was not as patient as I should have been, but we're doing the best that we can do. And they see that, that self-love is really, really important in life. So, the guilt will always be there. That's a mom thing. I don't think that we're ever going to be completely satisfied because we're perfectionists.
So I know you have two kids, right? And now they're a little bit older, but when they were younger, like how would they describe you? Like what would they say? Like, so for example, when my oldest one, when he was in kindergarten, and his teacher asked him, "So what does your mom do for work?" He said, "She works at a gym." And when that said, "Do you work at a gym?" I was like, "No." I'm like, "Why do you?" And I asked my son, "Why did you say that?" And he said, like, "Well, because you always go to the gym." So for me, what I was doing, I would drop him off at daycare, then go to the gym, then come home, get ready for work, and go to work. And then for him, he would see me going to the gym. That was my job, right? And then now my youngest one, who is 6, when I asked him, "So what does your mom do for work? Like, what did you tell your teacher?" And he said, "Well, mom is a YouTuber." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, you're always in your office, you're on your computer, so you're streaming like Anthony, like the oldest one." I was like, "I guess mom is a YouTuber."
Hey, they make a lot of money being a YouTuber. So,
But how about for you? Like, how did your kids describe what you did for work?
yeah, it's really interesting because my husband and I have been married 21 years. So we have basically grown up together. And so I say that our kids grew up with us. I had my first one at 25, and then my daughter was 2 years behind that. So we were young. We were building our careers with them by our side. So I would say that they probably think that I'm unstoppable and relentless and like I'm a go-getter, because they were literally there from the ground up of every business that we've built. So if they're not great entrepreneurs, then I've done something wrong. But back then it was probably, oh, my mom, she probably she goes to the gym a lot, but also my mom takes pictures of people. I've been a photographer for 18 years. And so that has been the root of my career. But they know now because they've led next to me as a mentor. So they've been on the floor at Boys and Girls Clubs. They understand like all of the elements of what I do and where I lead. So it'll be interesting to see what comes from that after all that exposure, because they've been there from the ground up.
So interesting.
It is.
Photography.
Yeah.
Why photography?
It's so funny. I actually speak at Florida State, our local university here, in the entrepreneurial program, and they invite me of alternate ways to work because I actually was in the radiology program. So I went a different path. And when I went into clinicals, I realized that I really was fascinated with learning, but I did not want to build someone else's dream. I wanted to build mine. I grew up, my mom was interior design and my dad was a master chef. So I grew around the arts my whole life and I loved the camera. And so I actually was self-taught. What, in the middle of clinicals, I picked up the camera and I started shooting, and then it's been 18 years in the making, and it's obviously evolved over time. But I love telling the story, and I think that kind of goes hand in hand with my purpose and my why. Um, I love to capture people from behind the lens. I'm a part of so many people's memories, good ones and sad ones and happy ones, and it's really beautiful to watch. This year, all of the seniors that I'm photographing, I photographed them as babies. So like full circle to watch their life journey. So it's really a rewarding, beautiful thing. And I love what I do.
I love that. So what kind of photography? So is it engagement, wedding photography?
So that's evolved over time. Yeah, I used to do weddings. I did weddings for 10 years. I own a branding studio here in Tallahassee. So I do a lot of storytelling for businesses. So I have a 3,000 square foot studio where we map out what the brand is. So like all the stuff you see on social media or magazine work or billboard work, I do a lot of that. And it's the storytelling of the business. And so we're designing the backgrounds and the staging the pillows and the office space to tell the story of what people do. So that would say that's the main thing that I do. And then I also do families and lots of graduates.
Really cool.
Yeah, it's really
storytelling for business. So this is really creative, right? So you really need to come up with ideas. What was the most challenging, like kind of the most boring business that you had to, come up with like some creative ideas and tell this really beautiful story?
Yeah. So I think this is actually a great question because I think it kind of relates to anyone in business. I think that when you start to get stale and things get boring, then you probably need to shift or recreate something. And that's kind of how weddings got for me. I found that I loved the story of the day, but I could tell the story without them even doing it. Like I could tell you exactly how they were going to hold hands and how they were going to walk down the aisle and where it was going to be placed. And I realized after 10 years, I was like, this is not fun anymore. I'm not enjoying it. I'm shooting 50 weddings a year. I really wanted to get back to what I love, which is like the design and the creating of it. And so that's kind of when I shifted into branding 8 years ago. And I think that's important as a mom, as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, is when you start to get stale and you start to get bored, that's when you really just shift. It doesn't mean that you're not in the right place. It just means that you might need to recreate it a little bit. And so I would definitely say weddings kind of got boring. I mean, obviously, I think in any business, things can get monotonous. I do a lot of headshots for bankers. So it's all the same. A lot of beautiful people's heads. But I enjoy what I do. And so that's why I really take time with my clients to hear the storytelling behind it. So it's not just a photo.
Love that. So you do a lot, right? You wear a lot of hats. So how do you manage your day? What's your secret?
Not always great. I think that we try to do the best that we can do, but I am very, very organized. I would say that's the only way that I can manage it. It's not always perfect. But I definitely, when I said like I love the scheduling, I love having a plan. Like when I have my time span and that's for this, I stay within that. If I'm not going to be able to get it all done. And then really over the years, really evaluating why I do what I do and making sure I'm saying yes to the right things. Because I think when you're a business owner and then you start serving in your community and you're on boards and you're leading community events and mentoring, everyone wants you to be a part of everything. And I used to say yes to all of it. I used to say yes, because I wanted to be the 100%, 150% mom, 100% community leader and business owner. But then I realized that I wasn't saying yes to things that aligned with me anymore. And so I think that the only way to juggle all of that and do it well is to make sure that it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, not this time around, but I'm able to help in this capacity, because then you're really aligning yourself with the right things. And then, you're doing really truly living out your why and aligning with your life and with your career. So I think it's hard as women and people to say no, but I think it's important. It's the only way.
So it's important to say yes, right? It's also important to say no.
Absolutely.
So the boundaries.
Yes.
Boundaries in business, life, with other people. So how do you create the boundaries? What's important?
I think that number one is really making sure, it goes back to that self-love, is starting your day. For me, it's, the emails and the calls are 24 hours a day, is really like setting a boundary in the morning that when I hit the floor, that's not to go to my phone. Because it's not going to wake up and be like, oh my gosh, and they need me and everyone needs me. So I take that time in the morning just to really sit, reflect, and pray, to start my day with gratitude, so that I feel level-headed and at peace before the chaos begins. And then I think being active and, being a part of the things that you really love to do is really setting boundaries, saying, at this time, this is my time that I eat dinner with my family and my phone is not near me. And I love all of you, but 45 minutes alone with them is okay. So I think you just have to make sure that, especially as a business owner, it's really hard to there is no boundary lines. My phones are always with me and the emails are always dinging, but you have to make sure that you're shutting off the noise. And if that means turning it off, then you actually have to turn it off, because especially type A people, you're like, I need to send back that email right now, so you definitely have to set boundaries. For me, it's definitely when I wake up, not going straight to my phone. I think that's super important.
I love that. And I feel like with technology right now, it's always there, right? It's always present. That's what I hear from my clients all the time, right? You're just, by default, you go on your phone, you scroll, and you just get lost in that, right?
Yeah. Well, and you're not even present anymore. Yeah. You don't even know what the conversations were. We were sitting at dinner the other night and I'm like, their dates are all on their phones. that's a problem. You know, if you're not having meaningful conversations and you're not really present, I don't believe you're really living. So definitely setting those boundaries for sure.
So what's your boundary with technology? Like when you go on a date, like is there any expectation?
Uh, well, we do. My husband and I do have date night, and we're really, we always make sure we do it once a week. And so that we really take time, even if it's not, even if we're not able to do like a dinner. I remember when our kids got old enough, yours aren't maybe that year yet. Now they can stay at home and we can do what we want to do. And so that was a really freeing time in our marriage to be like, oh my gosh, it feels like we're us again. Because one day they're going to leave. So definitely when we're on dates, we are not connected. We are not connected to our phones and technology because it's really important to connect and actually talk about feelings and look into each other's eyes. So definitely for date nights, we don't do that. So, and even when we go for walks, we love taking walks together and just really being present is super important.
I love that. Because I feel like a lot of people they say that like phones usually present at dates, right? And then I had one couple where wife she just couldn't do it. She had the app 360 Life 360, right? And she was always on the phone. She was keep watching her teen daughter, and then she just couldn't be present with her partner, and it was definitely created a lot of distance between two of them. So that's where I feel like it's important to talk about the boundaries and actually maintain the boundaries.
Oh yeah, that Life 360 can be when my son started driving, my husband's like, I'm going to be in charge of Life 360. I was like, that's a great plan. As long as someone knows, because I was checking all the time too, let somebody else do it for you. No, that's a great idea.
Awesome. So in terms of date nights, what do you guys usually do? Do you say like, okay, we do it on the calendar once a month? I guess the secret to the happy marriage, right? So it's 777. I guess easier said than done. So you need to go on a date, right? Every 7 weeks you need to go away, where it's like some like kind of getaway, right? And then every 7 months you need to go on a romantic vacation with your partner.
Oh,
So
I didn't know all these things. So I'm going to have to tell my husband.
777.
Okay. Ours, because although our kids are older, we've got kids that were traveling for rowing and traveling for dance. And so it's still really busy. So ours maybe not extravagant. We're really excited. We are going to Puerto Rico in the fall. So do have a trip planned, just the two of us, but we really just do dinner date nights. And that's what we really enjoy. We love a good glass of wine and we love to have a nice dinner together. So for us, that's a really fun time. Like I told you, we love food. So finding a great savory place in Tallahassee that is really good food and a great experience and ambiance is really what we enjoy to do. And if not, then we just do the walks with the dogs. Simple and sweet.
So what do you usually do? Do you go to new places or you have your favorites and you just kind of default to your favorite places?
I would say a mix. I mean, we definitely love our favorites, the ones that are, different every time, but still always really good. But we do like to throw in some new, like, oh, let's try something new tonight, because I think that's a fun experience too. But yeah, no, we definitely have our favorites, and they know us when we come in the door. They're like, here they come.
It's always fun, right?
Yes.
Either you love it and you can talk to your husband about it, or you hate it, you still have a conversation.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. No. So I guess I'll give you a little tip. Maybe you can share with your husband.
Okay.
What I tell my couples, right? If you want to spice up your relationship, right? Because what usually, brings that novelty and excitement into your relationship, that's when you have, some of the new experiences with your partner, right? So going to the new restaurant or doing something that you used to do or never done in the past. So what you need to do, create this A through Z date night list.
Okay.
So take the alphabet and make a list of the things that you want to do. For example, A is arcade or axe throwing. R is B is bowling. Like M is movie and massage. I don't know, like be creative.
I love it. Okay, we're gonna do that.
Maybe access for skydiving.
No. Maybe him, but not me. I'm a no heights girl. I don't like it.
So let me ask you, you started dating your husband early, right? You've been together for a long time. So talk about this journey because I feel like it's so unique, right? Not a lot of people meet their partners early on. And again, I can definitely relate to your experience. I met my husband in high school, right? It's
Mhm.
been over 20 years. So, what is your secret? You're still together. It sounds like you're doing great as a couple. So, how was it back then? How is it now?
Yeah. I think that, we've always been really transparent in our marriage. We were young. So, like, at that time, I would say that it was youthful love. And yes, we had the same values. And yes, we had the same mission and things that we wanted in life. But I was 17. So now I'm 44. Definitely not the same woman that I was then. So I would say that life was really crazy then, and we were just living. And then we had to realign our needs. And along the way, those chapters have been different. I say now that we've learned to really dance well together. There's like a really mutual respect that we both are leaders, um, that we both can ebb and flow in both spaces. Because back then, I felt like I needed him in a different capacity. I was like the overweight, kind of like insecure girl without a voice. And I needed him to validate me and to be that for me. Now he is that, and he can step back and like be the biggest cheerleader and watch me shine and say, chase every dream, baby girl, I love you. And I can do the same for him in his career. So I think that the secret is that it's going to be different. It's not always going to be the same, and really investing in the communication of the needs along the way, and the growth as humans. Because I think it's important that you both are growing and that our seasons were different. His career is in the last couple of years is really rocketed, and I've had to support him in a different capacity, and the same for me. Um, and so it's actually been really beautiful. Like, people that have been around us since we've been married, it's really cool to watch the evolution of our marriage, because we're stronger today than we've ever been. But that's because of life, all the things that we've had to like twist and turn and navigate. Um, I'm a firm believer in therapy. I think my entire family. I don't think it's because you need therapy. I think it's because you should have therapy. I think if there's someone there to navigate those challenging times in your life where you don't have balance with kids and crazy and like all the things, sometimes it's just the stress of the outside things where people, I think, give up on marriage. But I can say today, I mean, he's definitely the same life partner that I chose at 17, and I'm so glad that, and I feel like I'm the lucky one that I invested in that, and so has he, and we really do dance really well together. But I think it's being supportive on both ways. You have to be able to allow that person to be individuals first, and then you're really great partners together. And so we are that. Truly, we both are different leaders, we both are completely different humans, but when we come together, we are one. So I don't know if there's a secret, but I think that investing time and realizing that it's work, just like anything else, is really, really important. And I think that today, this storytelling that we see through social media and all of these things has painted this picture that it's easy, and it's absolutely not, but it's so worth it. So, so worth it.
Yeah, as one of my clients told me, I didn't realize that being married is another full-time job.
Amen.
Like, I don't know if I would sign up for that. But again, in the end, it's definitely worth it. So I would say 99.9% of couples come in and they say we want to work on communication,
Yeah.
right? And again, like, communication is the key, but usually the underlying issues that presented by research is, number one is finances. Couples fight because of the finances. Number two, intimacy. That's why
Yeah.
sexology. And three is parenting, chores, and in-laws. So do you feel like through your life, did you struggle with any of the
Oh, communication's huge, right? Like, I mean, that's 100% the number one thing. I think people too, and maybe this is women, is we are so scared to ask for help. I was the world's worst. If I'm not saying, I'm like, I've got it, I can do it, because I was always really independent. And really allowing people to come in and help is really important. And to say, like, I need this from you, they actually want to know, believe it or not, on both ends.
Yeah. Well, as I tell my female clients, men usually pretty straightforward. they need clear, effective instructions, just like kids. They have
Yes,
to help, they have to know like what you need, but you just need to tell them because they don't read your mind. And I feel like
absolutely.
for, especially type A, right, I hear this all the time, like I met my husband, I'm type A, he's type B, he's my rock, I'm the just one, I need to do everything. And then at some point, what happened, I started taking care of everything, and then he just took a step back,
Yep.
right? And then what happens, then resentment starts to build in because now you're doing everything day after day, and then your husband is not helping, as you can
Yep.
see. But in reality, he just doesn't know like where he can help. So he's kind of okay, you got it. Let me take a step back.
Oh
So
yeah,
at that point, that's when you just need to, you know, say like, hey, can you do this? And again, not for me, but for us, right?
for sure,
This is where you need to step in.
for
And
sure.
usually the way you think affects the way you feel and affects your actions, right? If you feel resentment and you're upset, then the way you approach your husband is with anger, and he will probably feel defensive, right? And potentially it will not be a good night. But if you say like, hey, can you, do dishes? Can you cook dinner? I mean, I'm sure
For
husband will
sure.
step in.
Definitely a give take. That's for sure.
So in terms of communication, when do you feel like communication was the most challenging in your relationship? Do you feel like it was early on when you had kids? Because I feel like, going through different stages of life, especially when you have that first child, I feel like it's the biggest challenge for a lot of couples.
Mhm.
Or later on when you were building careers and you needed that support from each other. So when do you think was, I guess, the easiest and the most challenging communication?
Yeah, I think for us when we were young, it maybe wasn't super effective, but we were so young that we were just trying to figure it all out. We were like, yeah, I don't know what we're doing, but we're doing the best we can do. And so I would say that if I look back on the most challenging, right around that like 13, 14 year, I think that it was a time when my career was shifting and really growing, kind of stepping into like all that weight loss. And that is when our marriage and like our roles, we were trying to like figure this out, trying to figure it out, like who is this person. And when I say that we've learned to dance really well, I think I took a step where I didn't need him in the same capacity that I did before. And so we really had to join hands. And that's why I think therapy is super, super important, is learning to walk next to each other instead of dragging one person and vice versa. And so I really had to realize, I think a lot of times women need validation from their husbands. And I learned that my validation needed to come, that was icing on the cake, what he gave me. That mine had to come from within. So that pressure of me being like, you didn't tell me this, and you didn't tell me all the things that I needed before, I didn't need those anymore. And so we had to figure that out. And we did that through therapy and through faith and through God. And I realized that joy came with something so much bigger than just the two of us. And so now our marriage, there's no pressure of us validating each other in that space. Now we just love each other and we come whole. And I think that was really important for us to navigate that. So I would say, 14 years in was kind of that like that spicy year of kids getting involved in all the sports and all the things on top of like, there was no time for date night. I mean, there really truly wasn't. So, um, and building careers at the same time. It was just a really busy time of life. So I would say around then it was communication. It was like taking time and setting aside. That's why color coded calendars are great. Is making sure that your husband has that too. So I would say around then was probably the hardest time for us.
So interesting. So I have this theory, right? So when you're single, right, you create your single persona with your likes, dislikes, your hobbies that you do for yourself, right? And then when you meet your partner, you create this additional couples persona, right? And then you never substitute your individual persona with couples persona. Now you have to juggle two. And then when you have kids, you create this additional family persona, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I see with couples who struggle, who come to therapy, that's when they fulfill the family persona, right? They maybe somewhat fulfill their individual persona, but they neglect their couples persona because what they see when they do things as a family, they think that their couples persona is fulfilled. But this is wrong, right? When like I had a couple came in and I said like, so what do you guys do, go to like as a couple? And they said like, oh, we go to dinners. And I was like, so when was the last time you went out? And they said like, oh, last week. I was like, just two of you, right? Like, oh, no, 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 with kids. I was like, so when was the time when you went out just two of you and connected? Like, oh, 10 years ago.
Oh boy.
That's a problem, right? And when you need to really fulfill that foundation, that couples persona, and I know it really depends where you are in life, right? If kids are young, if careers are busy, and I know there are mortgages and chores and everything that you need to take care of. But what I tell my couples, the couples persona is the foundation. If there is no that foundation, there will be no family persona.
That's so true. You know, our pastor said that to us too. He said that your order is wrong. You know, I think as couples, we're like, oh, it's kids, then work, all the things, and then us. And it was like, it was faith, us, and then our kids. And realizing that that order was out of whack is really when your marriage is kind of not ebbing and flowing the way that it should. And so when we kind of rearranged that structure, I was like, oh, okay, now this makes sense. Because my kids are going to go on and meet somebody and they're going to leave the house and it's going to be us too. So it's really important to nurture that for sure.
And also to show kids that, you know, happy marriages exist. Right?
Absolutely.
And what kids see, like growing up, you know, they tend to model the same thing in their relationships, right?
Absolutely.
So that's when you create this intergenerational trauma or not.
True.
Right? And we're here to break the patterns.
Amen. No, I totally agree. Yeah, and showing them conflict along the way. I remember in therapy them saying that too. They're like, it's important to show like resolution and conflict. That you can't, everything can't always be perfect because that's a lot of pressure for kids to move on like this perfect marriage, and like that doesn't exist. You know, we're both individual people with, you know, different opinions, but we come together and we resolve things together. So yeah, no, it's been fun growing up with my best friend and my soulmate, and we're still here today. So, and we got one that just graduated high school, so I only have one kid left. So it's about to be just us two.
So your son just graduated high school.
He did this week. It's crazy. He just blinked.
Home? Is he going to college?
He's staying here at Tallahassee. He actually he's graduating with his AA this summer. He dual enrolled, and he'll be at Florida State University. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know. We're Gator fans, and so that's the only thing I can say that I did not do well. I did not train him to be a Gator. He's going to be a Seminole.
So in a couple of years, you will be the empty nesters. So what's next for you? Is a couple, business? What are your plans? What are your goals? Where do you see yourself?
Yeah, you know, we actually started doing this year. We do a lot of philanthropy, so I serve on many boards in Tallahassee, and I mentor and speak across the community. But my husband doesn't have a lot of time to do that, and so he's always supported it, but we've never done it together. And so now we're in an organization this year that basically that's what it is. It's called Springtime Tallahassee, and it's couples that go out and do philanthropy, and we put on big events. So we're doing that together this year, which is really fun. We planned our first trip this summer without kids, and we haven't done that since year 14, I think. So we're definitely coming up on that 10 year, like you said. Not maybe we're a little over, or the 777. And really just growing our businesses. We're kind of at that stage where it's next level for my husband, and one more probably expansion for me. And so, you know, we're living our best life, and being able to enjoy our almost adult kids is really fun, to take trips in a different capacity. So you're just living life, having fun. And I think that finding that balance between a lot of work and a lot of hard play.
Love that. So I know you mentioned something really important, right? So back in the day, you wanted a lot of validation from your husband, right? Yeah. And then you realize that you need to, you know, create this validation within yourself. So what do you think helped? And again, like obviously when you lose weight and you look great, right? It's easier to love yourself, but not always, right? So what do you think helped you to create that self-love?
So much of mine is my faith. I really pour into my faith, and finding that community within women within my church, really women within the philanthropies that I serve in Tallahassee. So I think that my cup is full and it's overflowing. And so I think making sure that you fulfill things that are just for you. My husband does the same just for him. Like, he does the things that he loves, and they're not things that I love. And so I think making sure as women that we're not just the mom and not just the business owner, but we're doing things that actually bring us joy and align us with our why and why we do what we do. And mine really is, to give back to my community. I always say, like, my community serves me and I want to serve them. And then to inspire other people to pour their gifts into others. And so I think that when you start aligning yourself with those things and your cup is full in all of these different arenas, there's the pressure of that is just, it eliminates that from my husband. So um, I think that I'm really blessed because I am involved in a lot of things and I get to do all the things that bring me joy, while building my business and being a mom and being a wife. So maybe it's that my plate's really full, or it's that, I'm just doing things that actually just bring me joy. And so I think making sure as a mom and a woman that we're doing things that we truly love for ourselves and no one else. And that sometimes can be hard to find, you know?
Yeah, it's
So,
important to have that purpose, right? And
oh,
just do
amen.
something fulfilling. Because I feel like your plate can be full and you can be pulled in different directions, but it's not necessarily filling your cup, right? It must be a
Absolutely.
lot of stress, anxiety, but not always filling the cup. So I feel like finding something that makes you feel good,
Absolutely.
right? I guess what I tell my clients, it's the like ABC coping skills, right? This is the absolutely like step number one, to be well balanced in your mental health. So A is accumulate positive emotions. So that's when you think not about this big vacations, and again, like I mean, who doesn't love big vacations, right? But this is when you notice the small little things every single day, right? And when you think of the senses, what you can see, what you can smell, touch, taste, right? And hear. So, for example, it feels really good when you feel the sun on your skin, right? It feels really good when drink your favorite tea. It feels really good to hear the birds singing, right? It feels really good to take a hot shower. So we do all these things every single day. We just don't notice them, right? And then once we start being more mindful of them and making sure that we do at least one thing from your list. So you make your list of the things that make you feel good, and then you also recognize that you actually doing them every single day, so you accumulate the positive emotions. And then B is building mastery. So that's when you find the purpose, you find something that you want to be better at, and then challenge yourself. And sometimes you say like, go and do LinkedIn, learn a new language, or I don't know, take out your rollerblades and start rollerblading it. I don't know, something. I don't know, find the recipes and start cooking something. I don't know, find something that makes you feel good, right? And fulfilling. Start, philanthropy and helping the community. I mean, do something. And then C is cope ahead of time. So that's when you think of the future stressors. What's something that brings you anxiety? Think of that situation, and instead of being hard on yourself and say like, well, I should have done that, you say like, what can I do differently next time? What did I learn from that experience? How can it be better? How I can be better responding to this specific person, or how I can be better in this specific situation. So three things:
I love it.
positive emotions, build mastery, and cope ahead of time.
I love that. I think too, you can find joy, like when you said, A is when you're finding joy in the small things. Gosh, that's what life is really about, is when you're like, gosh, I'm just so grateful that he came and gave me a kiss today before he said goodbye, or he filled up my cup of water before I left. Like the little things, when you start to live like that and you have such gratitude for the small stuff, the big stuff, just comes naturally. So no, I totally agree. That's amazing.
And I guess it's easier said than done, right? Because we
Oh
always
yeah.
go, 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 and then it's not always easy to really pause and be mindful of everything that's going on. And I guess in therapy, we talk a lot about the mindfulness and dialectical behavioral therapy, right? And then the whole mindfulness, it's even like going and walk, right?
Yeah.
And again, like I try it, right? I usually go and I think about something and I don't really pay attention, right? And or like you're on the phone, but then when you really like look around and notice what you're seeing around you, right? What are the smells? I started noticing, like actually we have a lot of really interesting little creatures. I found a sugar glider.
I
I
don't even
saw
know
a
what that is.
sugar glider in the grass. I was like, wow.
Ah,
I was like, I usually just walk, I don't see anything, and then I was like, oh, I found a turtle. I found a
no.
I found of course a lot of blankets, but it's so interesting, right? You just pay attention to your environment. But then when you're on the phone, usually you pay attention to your phone, right? You're thinking about something, talking to someone, you listen to the book, but you just miss the world.
Yeah. All the really important little moments. Yeah, it's so true. So true.
But so before we start wrapping up, if there's any piece of advice that you want to share with our viewers, like
Yeah.
one thing you took away from your journey.
Yeah. Well, one, I can obviously say that everyone should go to therapy because therapy's amazing. You learn something about yourself, but also we can become better versions of ourselves. But no, really, I would say that you're worthy and you're enough, and everything that you need, you already have. And I think I spent most of my life saying, if I had, if I had, if I could have done, if I could have done. And I actually realized that it was all already there. And so really believing in yourself and taking all of the steps of, you know, all the things that basically the tools that you gave them, I think is really, really important, and making them sacred so that you're taking care of yourself so that you can take care of others. And then you'll start taking on feats that you never thought were possible. So walk boldly down paths that open for you that feel unfamiliar and scary. I say jump and take them, because when you trust that, then that's when you really find your purpose on the other side of that.
Yeah, and I guess the gratitude, right? Gratitude is extremely important because what we tend to do, we tend to notice what's not going well, right?
Absolutely.
And we'll miss all the good things, right?
Absolutely.
So maybe when thinking, in your life, in your relationship, in your career, just say like, what went well today? What went well this week?
That's right.
And
Do something scary every week. Something small. It can be something different. And when those little things turn into big things. I mean, I literally apply my weight loss to the small things. Walking to the stop sign led to me standing on a pageant stage or lifting at a strongman competition. It's possible. You can do it.
So one step at a time, one day at a time, right?
Amen.
And also celebrate small successes, right? Because what we tend to do, we go so fast that we forget to pause and really celebrate.
Yep. Gratitude. Gratitude.
I love that. So, and before we finish up, if you can share with our viewers where they can find you, and if they want to reach out, if they want to see your photography business or anything else.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can find me on all the social media platforms. Jen Powell Feet is where I share all of my fun successes and my journey of weight loss to philanthropy to pageantry and all the things in between. Or you can follow me on Jennifer Powell Photography on Instagram.
Thank you. You're so amazing. Thank you for
being
here.
So are you. Thank you. I learned something new. 777.
777. Yes. So now you have something to share with your husband tonight.
Absolutely. Right? We're going to plan another trip.
And put it on the schedule, right?
Exactly.
That's important. So thank you for being here with us. Thank you for sharing your amazing story. And thank you for watching us. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. And thank you, Jennifer, for being here with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
Thank you.
Hey, what's up, though?
Well, it's your gal Yaya, and you're here on Yaya's channel. Just kidding. We are here with a great debut. Take it over, I guess.
I mean, it's not about taking it over. She's new to it. She doesn't know how we do it. You know what it is. All right, you started off again, and I'm gonna keep and interrupt. It's your man Jay Wu out here in the tropical paradise, and they say you don't bring sand to the beach, but alongside me I have the beautiful co-host Yaya.
Yaya in the building, and we have amazing news for you.
Well, we're outside, not in the building, and the sand is out here on the beach. We're here to talk about who got next hour on Jess TV.
Hey, and I know it is at Tuesday.
I guess.
Wait. Let me do it. And I know it is at every Tuesday.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. Okay.
Oh, wow, yes. can catch Demasha with the Zip Mouth Motivation Show. You can catch Jay Cabrera with Indie Vibing with Jay. You can catch Yaya with
Yes,
Reggae with Yaya.
all the time.
And we can't forget who got next to the artist video show. So stay tuned every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. right here on Jess TV.
Yes, it's your man
And your girl.
and your gal.
That's right.
All right.
Boom, peace. Let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun.
Yes. All right.
Black out if they act out. Yeah, I did.